Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We're going to talk in a little bit about people that's out here looking like losers. We got your voicemails, all of this stuff. Now, I know that if you think I'm going to talk about somebody looking like losers, you're operating under the assumption that I'm going to talk about the Cowboys when I get to talking about losers. I'm not going to talk about the Cowboys when I talk about losers because sometimes I feel like we got to give props to the winners. And so, Sean, I don't know if you got a chance to watch my Lions in that game, but I've never been prouder to be a Lions fan than I was in this game at Jerry World.
For all the years that you've been a Lions fan, it's really nice to see like it all coming to fruition now with a performance like that.
Yeah, like it like we finally reached a point where I asked myself, do you know the words to the Lions fight song? And so
I saw you tweet
I
that.
then I Googled it up. And there's a fight song. I think it's called Gridiron Heroes. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't feel like I got a good version of it. Like I was listening to it, but it felt very modern and like Casio keyboardish. So I wanted to go back to find a different copy. But then I started doing some research on it. And there's been a movement among some people to find a new fight song because they associate the old fight song with losing. And I feel like that is a disservice to those of us who have been rooting for the Lions since day one, right? Like if we're going to just get rid of all of our traditions for these Johnny-come-lately types. And look, I was there when Dan Campbell started like 1-7 or 1-8. You know what I'm saying? I remember those hard times.
You were in the trenches with them, yes.
That's what I'm saying. It was a real cold winter, and I was there. You know what I'm saying? It was a real cold Michigan winter. I had to wear long johns. Like it was that kind of feeling that we had there. But I'm like, nah. So I'm gonna take some time and I'm gonna learn the fight song and I'm gonna come back and maybe I'm gonna sing the fight song with y'all at some point. You know?
What if we, come together and try to find a new artist or producer to spice up this fight song? Keep the lyrics the same, but give it a little modern flair to it.
Yeah, let me see. I'm cool with some people that know Big Sean. I'm gonna see if I can holler at them. It's been a minute. I took a picture with Big Sean at a concert once, and I contend he is, without question, the most ironically named rapper of all time. All time. Like calling him Big Sean would be like if Biggie had chosen as his name Lil Chris. Like it's kind of in that direction. But anyway. The Lions put that smack on the Cowboys in that game. Now, the reason, honestly, I'm not being but so hard on the Cowboys is the Cowboys are a bit decimated, right? A lot of their players just aren't out there. They are, right now, just beaten down, and you're going to lose a game like that. However, Sean, I haven't played Madden in about 20 years. I'm going to be honest, okay? I don't know if you're a Madden person. Do you still participate in the activity?
Here and there.
Here and there. Okay. When I used to play, I wasn't really looking for a challenge. I was looking for a good time, okay? You guys that be out here playing on all Madden, I just felt like you weren't doing enough with the rest of your life. You should have had other challenges. Like I was in graduate school. I was banging my head against the wall in my own ways. I didn't need to come up with something else. I feel like a lot of y'all needed to be looking at it like that yourselves. You feel what I'm saying here? But I would play it on All Pro. And All Pro would be a very good time. I knew we were going to win every time I showed up, and I would just play an enjoyable brand of football. Had a little small handful of plays that I would run, but we was wrecking shop, right? This is especially the best Madden year I ever had was the Madden with Michael Vick on it. Like I know he wasn't on just one, but you know the one I'm talking about, the Madden with Michael Vick on it, where he was on the cover. I also had the NCAA that year, and so you could take the NCAA draft classes and put them on your memory card and then bring them over to Madden. But something very important was happening that year. It was the sophomore year of both Maurice Clarett and Mike Williams. You youngsters have never heard of either one of them, but all you needed to know is that both of them boys was 99s as sophomores. So imagine how good they got to be and then get into the league. But see, what the rest of the league don't know that I know is I know that's Maurice Clarett. I know that's Mike Williams. You understand what I'm saying? They don't know what I know about who these dudes are. They don't know that I know the level of beast. So I would be out there with Michael Vick and Maurice Clarett and Mike Williams, not the versions that they actually became, but the ones that we dreamed about. You know what I'm saying? And you just be out there dominating. You run the same plays over and over again if you want. You run some trickeration if you felt like it. You had nothing to lose. Just pure domination.
Yeah, scoring in the three figures over and over again.
Yes,
kind of vibe.
Yeah. If you so decided, right?
Yeah,
I had a little more class than that, but that was what we would do. And that is what the Lions looked like against the Cowboys. I was shocked at the level of outright disrespect that they showed the Cowboys. The only time I have ever seen this level of flagrant disrespect in football was when Miami, was the U. When they was just out here, Jimmy Johnson, we up by 30 points. Let's run third down play action bombs. Why not? Sean, the Lions ran a play in this game in the third quarter where they ran a hook and ladder to Penei Sewell. And for those of you who don't know, Penei Sewell is a right tackle who wears number 58. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a spectacular athlete for a right tackle. But they ran a hook and ladder to him that really almost turned into a touchdown.
And they only ran, it didn't count because it was illegal formation. Like the Cowboys didn't get scored on that because of some sort of penalty restriction, which truly embarrassing.
Sean, the score was 37-9. It was 37-9, and they ran a hook and ladder, and I am not here to talk about how the Cowboys started fighting. The whole reason that you don't do stuff like that is because it starts fights. The Cowboys didn't even have it in them to fight. That is how you know that literally they had no fight in them. Because if somebody starts calling plays, not for the tackle-eligible right tackle, for the actual right tackle. And if you looked at it, the pass went to the one dude, the tackle went one way and then came back the other way. He was remarkably nimble, all right? But there's no reason to do that at 37-9 unless the whole point was to do it at 37-9. 37-9. The game was ultimately 47-9. And Sean, let me tell you how bad this was, because this is something that you would not remember, because I hate to say this. I'm going to talk about something that happened before you were born.
Let's hear it.
In 1989, I believe was the year, Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys. He bought the Dallas Cowboys. He brought Jimmy Johnson on. He fired Tom Landry. And I remember watching every single one of these games because my daddy was a big Cowboys fan at the time. The Cowboys went 1-15 that first year that Jerry owned the team. They went 1-15. They traded Herschel Walker in the middle of the year, and that's when they got all the draft picks or whatever, all the stuff that came with it. They were one of the worst football teams that I have ever seen. And they did not lose any games that year, 47-9. They didn't lose any game by that much. That was the worst defeat of the Jerry Jones era on Jerry's birthday.
What a birthday present.
Bruh, come on. I mean, I couldn't believe. So, all right, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm talking about it right now. And my new thing now is watching games for what I consider to be obvious examples of point shaving. Okay. I see many games where I look around and I'm like, hey, buddy, it looks like those guys are shaving points, right? It is irresponsible for me to give you these examples of what look like point shaving, but when I show it to you, you're going to be like, oh, this looks like point shaving. The Cowboys, the results felt like point shaving. But nobody would ever need to shave that many points. They just sorry. That's just all it is. The terrible tackling that they were showing was at a level at which one would think there was point shaving, but the score was 47-9, right? Or the score was whatever. I've not seen, and it was a very particular strain of domination that I'm having trouble articulating what it is. It's not like it's the first time I've ever seen a team get blown out before. But, I mean, they were handing the ball off, and it was like, oh, you can't tackle us. The confidence the Lions had. The Lions were treating the Cowboys like the Cowboys were the Lions.
It's crazy role reversal, and the fact that the Cowboys' best player on that day was their kicker, Brandon Aubrey, who was the only person to score for the team, is just so telling of how that day went for them.
Yeah. And look, my thing with Dak Prescott, who I think is a very good quarterback, though, I never watch a game where I feel like when it's going bad, Dak going to be the reason that it starts going good. And, I mean, they weren't going to win this game regardless. He's basically only got one wide receiver to throw to. They can't run the ball. All of those things, I understand it. But at the same time, at some point, if you're a Cowboys fan, rather than it simply not being Dak's fault that you lost, you would hope that it would be he the reason that y'all didn't lose, right? Forget about he was the best player in a win. We were going to lose except Dak showed up. Right? And I don't feel like I ever see those games. And that, I imagine, is what's got to be disappointing to the Cowboys. On top of the fact that y'all team just look like they sorry. I mean, again, I don't recall seeing a team approach a team with that level of disrespect. And not one of y'all wanted to scrap it out. And you know what? And maybe it's because y'all scared of them boys. I ain't going to lie, man. The Lions play like they got a bunch of dudes that can fight. I know their coach can fight. I tell you that right now. And I've never seen Dan Campbell in any sort of fight or anything like that. I'm from Texas. That man can fight. I'm just letting you know this right now. That man can 100% fight. And unfortunately for the Lions, I ain't gonna lie, Sean, I was watching the game and I was prepared, fully prepared to come out and say it. The Lions are going to the Super Bowl. I was ready to come out and put it out there that in the Lions are going to be in the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and I'm going to be there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was ready to put it out there, and then I didn't see what happened, but apparently Aiden Hutchinson's leg broke off.
Yeah, I know we talked about
I don't watch those things.
Before the show. I saw the replay, and hopefully I never see it again. But yeah, that kind of took all the steam out of that performance.
They came, well, except they went right back to tapping that ass right after.
Yeah,
that was the one thing about it. Like, they didn't go in the morning after that. They kept it, and I know that because if I'm not mistaken, the hook and ladder to Sewell was after this.
Yeah,
they were like, do it for Hutch.
Did not stop. Yep.
No, it was going to take a lot more than, I mean, I saw boys out there crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was going to take a lot more than that to stop that ass whooping. That freight train, it was going to, no. That freight train was not going to stop. But anyway, Hutchinson has been, like, looking like Defensive Player of the Year this year. It was one of those where they came back from the commercial break, and they were like, the score doesn't matter. Part of that was because of the severity of the injury, and, of course, part of that was because the Cowboys are getting that ass tapped so severely that the details didn't really matter. Like, you ever seen a weather report from the sun? Me neither. It's just hot, you know?
And you just know it's never a good sign when the entire, like, every team, every player's on the field together.
Dog, it was right here, dog. They're right here. They right here. They get in that prayer circle, right? It's just like, oh my goodness. But luckily for them, the Raiders are sorry, so maybe they can get Max Crosby. Maybe they think they can get Hassan Reddick to sign a contract. Maybe they can go out there and get him another pass rusher. I don't know. But I just want to say on behalf of the rest of hashtag One Pride, we're going to do it for Hutch, man. Like, I think that's the only appropriate way to go about this. I saw something that said that if they make the Super Bowl, maybe our boy Hutch can get in there. You know what I'm saying? But we just going to have to buckle down. We going to have to be strong, and it's going to have to be us to make this thing happen. I saw something interesting, though. I didn't realize this. Did you realize that the top 4 point differentials in the NFC are all in the NFC North?
Yeah, I saw that tweet yesterday, and it's, clearly the best division in football at this point.
that is a fascinating number. Everybody's got 4 wins. Caleb Williams, my bad, dog. Maybe I should have waited a little longer before I started getting so nervous about what it was that you was bringing to the table, big homie. Big homie. Yo, big homie went out there. Let me tell you what homie went over there and did in London and made somebody point out. So, Deshaun Watson on nasty ass just been terrible, right? They said something about how he ain't converted a 4th down, like his last 25 third downs. That's what it was, last 25 third downs. And I saw a stat that said that Deshaun Watson had the 2nd worst success rate. It's one of them advanced stats, but from people I trust use it a lot. He had the 2nd worst success rate for a quarterback on 3rd and 4th down this season, and the only quarterback worse than him was Trevor Lawrence. Shocking. Yeah, that's all bad. That's all bad. But think about this. The Packers are plus 41, and they had, 2 games that they played without Jordan Love?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, guys, this division is kind of bringing it. I did not see that coming. My buddy Nick, it was hilarious. People coming to get on him about Trevor Lawrence, and then he immediately reminded them that he picked the Bears to go to the Super Bowl. So he moved on to his other incredibly bold take off of his first take that is really starting to peter out. We all there. So I just bring all this up to say that the Lions, they coming for us. You know what I'm saying? Like they trying to get us. They're going to come for us from every direction. But we won pride, It's cool. I feel good about where we are. People talk about you going to get back on the Falcons narcotic. What you talking about, baby? I bleed Honolulu blue. All right, now we're going to get out here and talk about these losers. I make this point all the time, and I don't know why people don't understand this better. A significant part of being a football coach, people think the only thing that you're there to do as a football coach is win, and that's not true. The winning is actually not intrinsically what people want, right? Winning provides the thing in many cases that people actually want. And what people want is to feel good about their team, or more accurately, for their team to make them feel good. Okay? Now, the easiest way, like the most corporate way, if you want to look at it that way, the easiest way to do that is to win. You can think about winning in the sense that the number one goal of the corporation is to maximize shareholder wealth. And that is because the share price is the only thing that everybody involved there can agree upon. It's basically the same thing with your teams. Like, winning is important because that's the thing that everybody can agree on. But people want to feel good about their team as much as anything else. It's the reason why, in fact, I'll give you an example. It's been a long time since this went down. But North Carolina State used to have this basketball coach named Herb Sendek. I forget where Herb Sendek coaches right now, but it's a small place. I think it's Santa Clara, and it's something like that. But anyway, Herb was a good coach. Herb was done in part by the fact that his name was Herb and he looked like a dude named Herb. And that's not an insult because, as I've told you many times, ironically, I've never met a Herb named Herb. But anyway, he looked like a dude named Herb. And Herb ran this Princeton offense that was a bit sludgy. Now, at that time, State was having some of the most basketball success that they had in a very, very long time, making the tournament 4 or 5 years in a row, got to a Sweet 16. But anytime they lost, it didn't feel good because nobody liked watching the team play. Eventually, Herb wound up at Arizona State. He was at Arizona State while Ben Howland was at UCLA. And UCLA went to 3 Final Fours in a row with Howland there. But Howland had a very similar type of offense that went on basically to infect the rest of the conference. And then it reached a point where Herb and Ben Howland had to start moving that offense more up-tempo because it didn't make anybody feel good watching that shit they was doing. It didn't matter how good they were. In the end, nobody felt good about the teams that they had out there. Okay. I use that just to establish to you where we have, like, as I've told you before, I'm trying to do more of an exploration in my work and kind of getting to the bottom as to why it is that we're into these games, why sports matter the way they do. And fundamentally is they give us things to believe in, and then they deep down give us things to feel good about. Okay. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles played against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Sean Watson, old nasty ass boy. He is like the worst quarterback in the NFL right now.
Every week we're like, oh, he's terrible, and then every week he continues to get worse. Like, I don't know what the floor for him is at this point.
The what makes it tricky with him as like a media topic is that there's nothing interesting to talk about with him. He just plays badly, and you're like, they got to bench him. You know they can't bench him. Like, I don't know why we keep bringing this up. Like, I mean, it would probably be wise. I see why you would make the argument. You know why they can't. They got to pay that man for this year and 2 more. Benjamin, do what? Just have him at work every day?
Just show up, right? Yeah, you can't.
Right.
Attendance grade or something.
And because you have him and what he is against the cap, you can't. Like, I think they said something that if they cut him this year, he would count $170 million against the cap next year. Like, you can't go get another one. There's nothing anybody can do there. They made a bet that getting a quarterback that you knew was good was worth all the bad PR and all the money and everything else. It was a sound bet on the football part and a fraught bet on everything else, and the football is falling apart. And that's the part they never considered would happen, right? They're stuck like Chuck. He looked like boo-boo in that game, and the Eagles barely won. Barely won. They played the game at home, and they barely won. Now, we've been talking on this show about Nick Sirianni getting fired. I'm trying to avoid doing something about the rut row zone every week because the Jaguars also lost, and Sean, that was basically going to turn into, it was going to feel like I had a vendetta if I was saying back-to-back, these dudes, I just can't keep, I mean, I've said it. They're going to get fired this year. I didn't mean to get Saleh fired, but it happened. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't want to keep doing this every time. And so I was like, Peterson, they lost that game in London. The only reason that I think he still has that job is that they're still in London because they got to play another game next week. But otherwise, they'd have let him fly back and then fired him as soon as he hit the ground. But anyway, the Eagles barely won. They won 20-16, and the Browns looked bad. And at the end of the game, Sirianni, who looked like he cut his own hair before the game, like he got you know the difference between cutting your hair or like, there's a difference between getting a haircut and your hair getting cut. Yep. It just looked like his hair got cut. He didn't get a haircut. His hair just got cut.
He just woke up and buzzed it one morning.
That was all it was. But I'd say very much like, are you okay vibes. And so then he's on the sideline and he starts going back and forth with the fans and like sticking his, like doing the Hulk Hogan almost, sticking his ear out, like wanting them to talk at him a little bit more at the end of this game. And it was a bad look. Everybody thought it was a bad look. And then he showed up at the press conference with some human shields. Can you run the clip of him in the human shields?
I'm making a big deal about it. I mean, it's like, guys, we're going to figure it out. We're going to fix it. We've known how to score in the past. Like, we get it. You guys have a job to do, and you're going to fixate on one thing, and you're going to be like, oh, they haven't started fast, or they haven't turned the ball over. Like, we got it. Like, we're going to do everything we can do to fix it. Like, and I don't want that to be in their heads. That's why I'm basically telling you guys, all right, we got it. We'll figure it out. And so sometimes you get things in your head, and you continue, and it kind of, works there. But like, the defense started their off. The defense started their. It was 10-0 to start the football game off, and the defense didn't let up a play. And so they played their. So they started fast, right? And we'll get it figured out on offense. We will get it figured out on offense. Do you think that was funny?
All right. I want to start by talking about how much I hate kids at press conferences. You know why I hate the kids at the press conferences? At least they play football games during the day. Normally, I'd be looking at them basketball games, and I'm like, shouldn't them kids be asleep, number one? Number two, you're not doing this for the kids. You're not going to convince me that kids want to sit up there at a damn press conference. No, no, no. Now, every now and then, it gives us classics, like the time Allen Iverson had his kids at the press conferences wearing furs, which is one of the most absurd things I have ever seen in my life. But they're human shields. You got them up there because you think them people won't bring the heat to you with your kids up there. And I'm going to be honest with you. Once he started cussing in front of his kids, y'all should have. Them kids ain't want to be there. Look at how those kids looked up until, run that back one more time, Sean. I want people to look at how them kids looked up until daddy started cussing.
Y'all making a big deal about it. I mean, it's like, guys, we're going to figure it out. We're going to fix it. We've known how to score in the past. Like, we get it. You guys have a job to do, and you're going to fixate on one thing, and you're going to be like, oh, they haven't started fast, or they haven't turned the ball
just
over.
So
like,
bored.
We got it. Like,
yes,
we're going to do everything we can do to fix it. Like, and I don't want that to be in their heads. That's why I'm basically telling you guys, all right, we got it. We'll figure it out.
You think all three of them wanted to go?
Sometimes you get things in your head, and you continue, and it kind of works there, but. Like, the defense started their off. The defense started their. It was 10 nothing.
See, there we go. Now the kids start perking up.
The defense didn't let.
Now the kids start perking up. You can let it stop now. Daddy started cussing, and now the kids started perking up. Right? Like, it was so lowbrow, and everybody peeped it as being lowbrow. And what he became is somebody that they don't feel good about, man. Like, the way that all went at the end of that game, he morphed, or like just leaned into being somebody that team and them people around don't feel good about. And I'm sure them players think he's a clown because they not stupid. Right? Like, my guy Sealski wrote a great column about just like what a weird and cynical press conference it was that he ran there. You look on Twitter, any of the Philly media people, they're all like, I don't think this guy is mature enough to handle this job. And I am here to tell you something that this society has no patience for is immature men in positions of power. Okay. Yes, there's one glaring exception to that, but it jumps out because it's an exception. But anyway, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. You make it hard for people to feel good about your team. Now, USC in the college football, they're having a tough time over there in the Big Pac Conference. Sean, what was that? The third game that they lost? And they lost this game to lost the game to who you call it? To Penn State
in overtime. Yeah, third straight loss for the Trojans.
Third straight loss for USC. And so Lincoln Riley's the coach there, and it was just a wild thing because Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma to go there, and Oklahoma's not a job that like typically people are going to leave to go get. But something I will always remember about that was Oklahoma fans were offended that he quit on them. They were not upset that he left. Now, I don't think that they have made it don't look so great for Venables right now, right? Like, let's be honest about that. But you could go back. This isn't even second guessing. Oklahoma fans, like ones I trust and know, were kind of like, if you want them, you can have them, right? And he has a very quarterback-friendly offense. I think that's a fair thing to say about him. But he is, in a lot of ways, Kevin Sumlin in that it's like, oh, the next time you have a good defense will probably be the first, right? Like, his teams are not all the way there. The other thing that's happened for him is this. He is not dealing with local college media anymore. It's a different situation when you're dealing with the media at OU, where you are by far the biggest thing in town, and the program has a much different bit of leverage than it does in Los Angeles. You can't control that media the same way. USC football operates much more like a pro situation than anywhere else. And they're going to come at you with questions. And what you can't be is defensive. It never works.
Game in which you guys are a couple plays away. Does it feel like you're any closer to being able to close that gap? Or at what point does maybe that responsibility fall to you to figure things out?
It always falls to me. When have I ever shouldered responsibility? I always take it. I'm the head coach. It's all my job. So believe me, there ain't nobody taking more responsibility than I am. So I don't know where that line of questioning comes from. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, and it's the good and bad of it, and it both exist. The reality is, we've played the toughest schedule in the country. The first 6 games, we've had a chance to win every single game. And that's hard to do. Like, to put yourself in position to win these games is freaking hard to do to begin with.
Oh, Sean, he started with the defense and then followed it up with a couple of excuses.
It's like, Nick Sirianni has kids up there. It seemed like Lincoln Riley acted like a kid with that question. It was very teenage, the response.
hey, man, just take your L. Nothing goes farther in that job than just taking the L. You have taken 3 of them. You just got to take the L, brother. You got to take the L. The expectations there are high. You've got to take the L. I didn't get a chance to see Kalen DeBoer after they almost lost to South Carolina because, brother, he wasn't going to have to just take the L. He might have had to take the bus. They was going to slash the tires on his car. Like, that was, boy, that was not going to be a good time for that cat. It was looking terrible. But you got to take the L, man. People feel good about somebody that is willing to own up to when they coming up short. That'll buy you some more time. Ironically, nothing makes you look more like a loser than not taking the L. You got to make people feel good about you. Nobody feels good about nothing like that. The NFL is back in full swing, which means you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on Prize Picks. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. But rather than hear from me, let's talk to somebody who uses Prize Picks. Shaw, how the picks going for you?
Bo, the picks have been picking. You can obviously hear my picks at the end of each episode, but with Prize Picks, you can also play with celebrities like Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sean O'Malley. You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. So, if you'd rather just hear from me, that's fine too.
There we go. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Sean, you got any trips coming up? I know for me, I'm starting to book out my travel plans for next year, and I'm excited to use Viator again.
So for me personally, I think I'm done traveling internationally for the rest of the year, especially after that trip to France. But I'm hoping to use Viator locally in my own city. Their app and website makes it easy to explore 300,000 plus travel experiences, so you can discover what's out there no matter where you're traveling and what you're interested in. I'm thinking I might make my way up the coast and see what Viator has to offer.
That sounds like a plan. Plus, their free cancellation helps you plan for the unexpected, and Viator also offers 24/7 customer service, so you'll get support at any hour if things aren't going as planned. So to all our listeners, download the Viator app now and use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find the perfect travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator. Hey, I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out, it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. And if you don't believe me, Sean, tell them how easy it is to sign up.
To get started, go to mintmobile.com/Bomani. There you'll see that right now all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan, and all plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk, and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Bomani. That's mintmobile.com/Bomani. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Bomani. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 gigs on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
We know you can't be on top of all the news and information of the day. No need for the social media feeds. We got you. Now, if you haven't heard.
All right, Bo, here's our first submission of the day.
My name is Mateo Wong, and I'm a staff writer at The Atlantic who covers AI. Last week was Nobel Prize Week. The prestigious awards have previously recognized the discoverers of X-rays, penicillin, and the structure of DNA, and now two scientists who, in the 1980s, laid the foundations for modern artificial intelligence. The 2024 Nobel Prize in Physics was just awarded to John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton for their work applying concepts in statistical physics to algorithms, which now allows computer programs to detect, store, and recall patterns in huge amounts of data. Decades later, that research has helped enable a machine learning revolution in which AI models, after processing enormous numbers of examples, can make predictions about the weather, medical conditions, and now most famously, what word will follow next in a sentence, such as in the case of ChatGPT. The prize, however, should not be taken as vindication of big tech's prophecies that ChatGPT and other flashy generative AI products will change human society as much as the harnessing of fire and electricity did. Instead, the awarding committee members specifically emphasized the much more concrete, but no less revolutionary, ways in which AI is transforming various scientific fields, such as astrophysics, climate science, and molecular biology. They did not mention ChatGPT. Indeed, the very next day, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded in part to two Google researchers who used AI to solve a long-standing problem about the 3D structure of proteins, which will be huge for drug discovery in the future. Again, lauding the narrow, grounded ways in which AI is already affecting the world. It is science, and not science fiction, that we should all be celebrating.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Nah, I can't go that far with you, Mateo. But as I heard that, I thought about something. I had somebody assure me that I don't need to be nearly as doom and gloom about the AI as I am, because people really haven't figured out how to make any money off of it. Although I started listening to a new podcast that indicates a slightly different direction about what the margins are and why the companies are moving toward that, but all that neither here nor there. But also, they haven't really figured out how to make all the money. And it's a huge thing because, Sean, AI uses a shitload of electricity.
Yep, and power and just,
resources. Yeah, it's up there with crypto in that same space where we're burning the world down literally little squares at a time in order to provide this stuff that might be helpful but certainly is not necessary. But I also saw something that said that OpenAI, which started as a nonprofit, is now valued at, I want to say, $167 billion.
Insane. For something that started as a nonprofit to then get this estimation.
Yeah. Like, you know how New York got all them, like, did you know screens that are just all over the city? There's one outside, like, across the street from my house. I can look out the window and it's by the bodega. And I looked out and that thing said something about $167 billion. I said, what? And we don't even know this thing gonna make any money. See, that's why when Trump said that line about the concepts of a plan and everybody laughed, I'm like, you don't know nothing about this Silicon Valley startup game. It's all about concepts of a plan. You ain't never heard of Little Mama with the Theranos? You could turn that into billions and billions of dollars.
It's like the richest people in the world with a bunch of half-baked ideas and selling it.
That's all it is.
That,
yeah. Then let somebody else take it to the finish line. Anyway, AI still scares me, but I use it more than I used to. It's great for planning trips.
Yeah, I agree here. Here's the next one.
I'm Oshan Jarrow, a staff writer with Future Perfect at Vox. And last week, I wrote about the incredibly strange, centuries-long, even spiritual history of nitrous oxide use across the US and UK. Nitrous is a gas that many of us might know from the dentist's office. It's what makes you loopy and numb before having a tooth pulled. It's gone by many names, including laughing gas, hippie crack, whippets, and even the atmosphere of heaven. But it's also on the rise as a recreational drug, particularly among some teenagers, which has raised some concern. It's true that nitrous, like any drug, has risks, especially when it's abused. But if you look back across centuries of nitrous use, you'll find this really fascinating story of its strange benefits as a source of poetic inspiration, philosophical insight, and even public entertainment. The first recorded experiments with nitrous stretch back to 1799. A young lab assistant named Humphrey Davy figured out how to make pure nitrous gas, had what was likely the first nitrous trip in history, and felt as if he discovered profound secrets about how the universe works. So, over the next few months, he called in friends who were poets and philosophers and physicians to come and try the new gas, The poet Robert Southey wrote to his brother that Davy has actually invented a new pleasure for which language has no name. And from there, nitrous made its way into dinner party entertainment and even began to fill public theaters with crowds who gathered to watch volunteers huff nitrous on stage, who would enter into these wild and delirious states that apparently were fun to watch. That's also how dentists discovered that nitrous could numb people to pain by watching volunteers slam into wooden benches and feel nothing. And as nitrous spread across dentistry, people began having these strange and sometimes mystical experiences right in the doctor's office. That's what inspired philosophers like Benjamin Blood in 1860 to try and figure out what nitrous experiences could teach us about philosophy, while more recreational use continued across things like Grateful Dead concerts and raves through the 20th century. Today, nitrous doesn't carry much of the philosophical or poetic context it used to, even as something of a psychedelic renaissance is reviving questions around the value of chemically altered states of consciousness. But through the centuries, people have reported finding everything from God to the true meaning of Hegel's philosophy while on nitrous. And I'm not saying that nitrous actually reveals God or the correct interpretation of Hegel's work, but clearly there's more at play here than a numbing agent for tooth pulling and whipped cream dispensing. Nitrous has real risks, but relatively few when used responsibly and occasionally. So amidst a wave of news reports on nitrous abuse, we could focus on public education and harm reduction, which helps those who are so inclined to safely explore these wider, stranger potentials of nitrous, which would make a great next chapter for this curious substance that has long straddled the line between medicine and recreation.
All right, I'm going to tell you two things. This is just my thoughts. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay? Number one, if it's a drug that people used to use but don't use no more, you should probably leave it alone. There's a reason a bunch of people stopped. That's all I'm saying. Like the real hits, they keep on playing, right? You probably should leave it alone. Number two, and I think this one is very, very important. If there is a drug that people find it highly entertaining to watch what you do off of that drug, you are not using the drug is using you, and you should stop. Think about the drugs that you know of. You'd be like, it's so funny when nah. Like, that sound like them people who talk about, like Edrin James talked about how they used to buy a $5 crack rock for the fiends so they could watch them geek up. You don't need to be smoking rock. But like the whole thing, they're like, oh, it'd be really funny to watch people when they use it. I don't need to use that. What the fuck, I look like a monkey to you?
Yeah, you don't want to be the show. You want to enjoy something while on the drug, not be the.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, look, man, if your drug is still called by its chemical name, you probably need to leave that alone. Everything I was listening to, I was like, have y'all thought about smoking weed? It sounds like it does a lot of this without all these questions.
Yeah, that's a little too scary for me if I have to put like a mask on my face to use it.
Yeah. No. I don't want gas. I want that gas. You talking about gas without no modifier. Like, you don't mean this as a figure of speech? You talking about actual gas? Fuck out of here.
All right, here's our last one.
Hello, I'm Allie Kelly, a reporter for Business Insider. I cover how the economy impacts people. Today, I'm here to talk about divorce. In many ways, the U.S. economy is built for couples. Marriage comes with tax incentives, and expenses like housing and groceries are cheaper for two. Spouses also often share bank accounts, savings, and assets, like a house or investments. A new Business Insider analysis of Census Bureau data shows that divorce has a major impact on finances, and divorcees often feel the hit of ending their marriage long into their golden years. For middle-aged and older Americans, divorce can amplify their retirement crisis. Divorcees have a lower average 401k balance, less savings, and a more limited monthly retirement income compared to married people. The average married retiree has over $100,000 more in their 401k and savings accounts than a divorced retiree. And single divorced retirees have less retirement income than people who are widowed or remarried. There's also a gender gap. Divorced women have less wealth and savings on average than divorced men. Women couldn't have their own credit cards until the mid-1970s, and it was more common for baby boomer women to be stay-at-home parents or hold primary domestic responsibilities. This could put women at a higher risk for living near poverty or relying on Social Security in retirement. Put simply, divorce can derail even the best-laid retirement plans. But there are ways to protect yourself. Experts told Business Insider that retirement accounts can be split in divorce settlements. It's also important for couples to regularly talk about money, so that both spouses are fully informed about their household spending money, savings, assets, and retirement plans.
As if divorce wasn't terrifying enough. There you go.
I know last time we hung out at the concert, you were mentioning how now you're at the age where a couple of your friends who stopped talking to you because they were in relationships are now coming back out the woodwork because of divorce.
Yes.
And I feel like this is a big part of that too, is like, not only do they need more friends, they're also like, anyway, I can get some more money.
Yeah. And to be fair, they didn't stop talking to me. They just didn't
Right.
have as much time because they was married. And, once you're the middle-aged single guy, you're the one that they come back around to. But now, see, this is other thing that's happening though, and that other thing that's happening is all my independent women paying alimony. These cats is out here. These cats is out here coming for their half. And boy, watch people's views on divorce settlements evolve depending on what side of that game they happen to be on. Nah, man, divorce is rough on a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And I'm hearing more stories these days of these divorces happening way late in life. And I can't imagine thinking you got your whole financial situation straight and you in your 70s, and then one of y'all come in and just be like, nah, I'm done. We out of here. What?
Yeah,
Yikes.
you had planned this 401k for this stretch of life, and now you're not working. It's just nightmarish.
Yeah. Nah. This game, hey, man, treat your spouse right. Like, because just because you think it's too late for them to leave, it is not.
All right, bro. Bo, today's prompt was the Al Bundy story, or anyone you grew up with that had like a successful high school or college outing. Shout out to our guy Joel for his, I believe, was it 4 touchdowns?
Well, no, Joel was the fastest 10-year-old in America. Al Bundy had the 4 touchdowns
right,
in one
right.
game.
All right, here's our first one.
Hey, what's up, Bo? What's up, Sean? So in high school, I was a pretty decent baseball player all growing up. So my senior year, our team started off 9-0. So our head coach thought it'd be a good idea to invite somebody that he had coached with in Alabama that had won the state championship the year before over to play all the teams in the county and host it at our field. So while we're sitting at our field watching this team from Hueytown, Alabama, play another team in our county, this guy that pitched a shutout and also hit a home run from both sides of the plate in the same game to dead center, while me and my teammates were talking about rumors, and that kid, he's getting offers from Florida State and Alabama to play quarterback. But the only thing is that Alabama, they're not going to let him play baseball. And as an Alabama football fan, I'm like, man, whatever. He ain't that good at football, or, whatever. We've heard all these rumors about people going to high D1 schools like that. And I'm sure you figured out by now that person was Jameis Winston. And no, he definitely did. He was that good, obviously. And I had never seen somebody dominate a baseball field quite like that, just in one game. So it was interesting to watch, and that has started. I dislike that man to this day for that, because I was on the field with him, but whatever. Anyway, I appreciate you taking the time. and love listening to y'all. All right, peace.
I mean, Sean, of all the reasons to dislike Jameis Winston, he picked an interesting one. Now, didn't he?
He had to go with. I mean, he had to go with the school that let him play baseball. I don't blame the school or him.
I tell you this, though, I am loving all these stories these dudes are now telling about how hilarious they find it when Jameis tries to tell a story or anything that it happens to be. Like, there's nothing like, oh, okay, so you guys find this to be as crazy as we do. Got it.
All right, here's our next one.
So, 4 touchdowns. I got to put my grandfather on blast here. He's since done passed, so he can't, say anything. But he was actually the first, I think, black graduate from Trinity College. He's a baseball player, and his big claim to fame was striking out none other than George Herbert Walker Bush when he was at Yale. He did pitch against Bush, but he did not strike him out. But he loved telling that story, and wasn't his only tall tale.
I mean, look, y'all can let him have that one.
I would have said the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I bet that's how he remembers it. Like, I don't think he's lying. I think that in his brain, it has gradually evolved into like that being the thing. What's so funny to me about this, my dad's high school basketball story is actually funny. So I forget the gentleman's name. He was just inducted in the Hall of Fame this weekend. He was the coach of Peabody High School in Louisiana. And when my daddy, many moons ago, was in high school, Peabody was their top rival. And my daddy always tells the story about the time he accidentally scored a basket in the wrong goal for Peabody. That tell you what kind of humble man my daddy is. That's his 4 touchdowns in one game is when he accidentally scored in the wrong goal.
Yeah, the exact opposite of this ass, but even better, to be honest.
That's correct. That is correct.
I just also love the full circle moment of hearing Herbert again in the George's full name. It was a really nice touch.
That's right. That's right.
All right, here's our last one.
Hey, Bomani. This isn't about me. This is about my one of my best homeboys, who played middle linebacker in the 90s for a small South Texas throwaway town called Mathis. He had 32 tackles in one game. A game where that offense from that other team might have run 35 plays. He had 32 tackles. None of my friend group has ever forgotten that. Anytime anybody accomplishes anything, we all say, but did you get 32 tackles in one game? 32 tackles, and he has the VHS tape to prove it.
32 tackles.
Insane.
I want to know where the number started.
Right. 25.
Right. Like, was it like 12 that night? Right? Like, where did it start and get to 32 by the end?
And they said they have like the video of it, but it's grainy footage. I bet some tackles count as tackles that maybe not,
He's counting other people's tackles. If you can't see the number and the tackle gets made, he claiming credit for that one too. Whatever it takes to get to the number. But Sean, you got prize picks for the people.
Yeah, I'm going to do my Al Bundy version of prize picks and say I did win last week on the Thursday Night Football match.
Way to go.
It's just for the people watching. But all right, Monday Night Football, Bills versus Jets. Let's go James Cook, 0.5 rush reception touchdowns. We'll take more there. Alan Lazard, 3 receptions. We'll take more there as well. And then Keon Coleman, 36.5 receiving yards. Khalil Shakir is out still, so Keon Coleman, the main target, I think he'll get more than 36.5 receiving yards. So those are my picks for tonight's game.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. That's Sean Yu. He handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Also, check out our YouTube channel, the Right Time YouTube channel. We're putting a lot of YouTube exclusive content up there, including on Tuesday, we are going to post a continuation of our concert diary series. I went to see Stevie Wonder at Madison Square Garden on October the 10th. Find out what I thought about it at the Right Time YouTube channel. Also, as I go to concerts, I come back, give you more reviews. Also, thank you to our If You Haven't Heard contributors. Thanks to Mateo Wong of The Atlantic. Check out his story on AI and the Nobel Prize at theatlantic.com. Thanks to Oshan Jarreau of Vox. Check out his story about nitrous. Yeah. at Vox.com. And thanks to Allie Kelly of Business Insider. Check out her story on what divorce does to retirement preparation at Insider.com. Remember, follow the right time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.